Dirty bass. Killer bass.
Hi everyone, this is CSL and Azulu Campus Corner. Thanks for tuning in. This is a pilot podcast to show off what kind of hometown heroes we have, esports collegiate heroes. And today, who we have today is Terryn Fredrickson from Southeast Star League, also from the University of Alabama, Huntsville. We have the Rosens, Adam and Tyler Rosen from TESPA, and we have Arthur Zisk from George Washington University Competitive Gaming. They are a huge lineup. Now, I just want to describe a little bit about what CSL does, what Azulu Collegiate Champions does. We host a global intercollegiate tournament that has Asia, that has Europe, that has North America, and we're competing for over $182,000 in prizes. It's kind of insane and kind of competitive, so we actually want to look at something that's not just intercollegiate, but what these guys have to offer on their campuses. They've done amazing things. I'm going to go straight to Terryn. Terryn, could you introduce yourself briefly and we'll go around in a circle?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Terryn Fredrickson. I go to University of Alabama in Huntsville. Nothing related to Tuscaloosa at all. So I helped create our foundation for the student-run esports on campus, and I am also one of the main directors, I guess, for TreasureCon, which is semesterly land that we run every semester. Also, I've had a little side project recently called the Southeastern Star League, and it's been an interesting learning experience, I'll say that.
Very impressive esports resume. Let's move on to Tyler and Adam Rosen, who you may have heard of before. Lone Star Clash 1 and 2. Take it away, guys.
Hey guys, I'm Adam.
And I'm Tyler.
And we didn't rehearse that, I promise. We are the co-presidents of Texas Esports Association, or TESPA. We started TESPA about 2 years ago, and we are now, I think, in our officially 5th semester. TESPA is based in Texas at the University of Texas at Austin, and we've now expanded to 7 other universities, making 8 total. You may have also heard of us through Lone Star Clash, the LAN event or tournament event, which we have hosted twice now, and we'll hopefully see more of in the future.
Yep, so it's awesome to be here, and I'm looking forward to talking.
Yeah, we're looking forward to hearing all the secrets about what happens at Lone Star Clash.
Not too many secrets.
No secrets? Okay, we'll move on. Arthur Zisk is one of the coordinators we have from, I don't know, you guys have been with us for a while, and they have created the George Washington University Competitive Gaming. Can you introduce yourself for us?
Yeah, hi, I'm Arthur Zisk. Good evening, everyone. I'm the coordinator for the GWU, George Washington University Competitive Gaming Club, and basically we set ourselves apart from a lot of the other clubs by welcoming all games, all titles. It's really based around whatever people want to play. So, I've been leading it since 2011, and it's been a lot of fun so far. And I'll tell you how I got to where I am and where we all are.
Awesome. So now we have a sneak preview into what we have in store for tonight. We're going to go into a quick commercial break, but stay tuned to find out all about how these guys set up what they have. Welcome back, everybody. For those who are just tuning in, we are the Collegiate Star League and Azubu Collegiate Champions. We are running something called the Campus Corner, which highlights exactly what our coordinators and what our players and organizers are doing on the ground level. They're doing amazing things like TESPA, like Southeastern Star League. And we have someone from the Southeastern Star League, but also just from University of Alabama, Huntsville, which has set up a really cool model with esports, collegiate esports. And I think a lot of coordinators have a lot to learn from this sort of model. Terryn, could you describe a little bit of what I'm hinting at and what you told me before?
Yeah, so basically at UAH, we kind of set aside this whole issue of, okay, SGA is very difficult to talk to about stuff. There's a very negative-ish connotation about games, which is sad. But so after talking with our dean of students, talking with a couple of other like athletics organizations and stuff like that, kind of thought it would just be a better idea to have just an overarching club above all of our gaming clubs. We originally just started out with StarCraft, then we expanded to League, fighting games. Smash actually has its own specific club here, and then the first-person shooter clubs. And so the entire idea is the student-ran esports, which is our head organization, manages all the financing for all these clubs. Instead of going to SGA for financing, these clubs now go to SRES instead. And so SRES is...
It's an umbrella organization for all funding. That's really cool.
Yes. And the idea is, and the dean of students absolutely love this idea, is that the SRES officers are going to be much more kind of in tune with how the whole funding structure works, how all that is supposed to run, much more so than like 10, hopefully we get to this point, but 10, 15 different gaming clubs below them. So that was the big thing, was funding. The number two is to give everyone just a general direction of how to improve it, how to improve our campus image, how to promote individual game events, how to, all this stuff. Like every Tuesday night we get together and SRES hosts a game night where they highlight one of these clubs and we get together in the library and play these clubs. Or play these clubs' games. StarCraft has proven very interesting because of a lack of internet in our area, or in our library. But anyways, so yeah, that's the basic premise of the whole thing.
Great. And so, how has your team been doing in CSL? And when did you guys get involved? How do you find how did you start this organization to begin with?
Well. The organization started originally with our StarCraft 2 club. Our StarCraft 2 club was our first real esports club. We didn't even realize the CSL existed at the time, but we founded the StarCraft 2 club back in I want to say it was the end of 2010, the beginning of 2011. And then we joined the CSL when we found out about it like halfway through the season. We're just like we actually missed the deadline by like 2 weeks or something like that.
Oh no.
Yeah. So we weren't able to join in on the end of the 2011 season, but the spring semester of 2011. So 2012 rolls around, we get our team together and all that stuff. We do okay. But we're a very small school, so it provides an interesting weight as far as like on the organization side too, because since we're such a small school, anything that we do is just generally a large campus event for our campus. So that provides actually it gives us a lot of weight on campus. But yeah, so that was me going off on a tangent.
So you talked a little bit about campus image of your organization, SRES. How is it? Usually people think gamers are gamers, but how is your image on campus?
It's actually a lot better than it was originally. I mean, the dean of students was completely all for this idea. Like, our dean of students is really, really awesome. But the general thing is, it's like gamers are. I mean, we're primarily engineering science school, so the games were more seen as a way for, all these kids are playing games and their GPA does this and this and this and this and then vanishes. And so one of the things that we've been trying to do, at least, is helping that, kind of promoting the whole idea of like, hey, we're also like studying. You know, we get together, we talk about games, and we're doing homework. But the other thing is just, you know, removing the general nerd persona. We're actually really cool people, surprisingly. The campus image thing is also not so much just how we're seen, but the fact that we are seen. I'm sure everyone here can agree that getting promotion across campus is actually like driving your head through a wall. So that's actually been one of the bigger things with the whole campus image thing, is just getting us known. Because when you're a primary engineering science school, it's there's a lot of nerds around.
Right.
So
yeah. No, it looks like you've made a lot of headway, just improving that campus image. I want to move to the Rosens now, who have done something also known as building a brand, TESPA. They have their own T-shirts, their own Young Cat, I think, and their own website. And it's started to diversify into other branches of Texas. It's all over Texas now. Can you guys describe how you did it? How did it begin, and how is it where it is right now?
Well, I mean, I feel like it all starts with kind of a vision at the beginning, right? I mean, when Adam and I founded TESPA, we had this vision for, let's take what we love, let's take competitive gaming, and really see how far we can take it. And kind of by iterating again and again each semester, every time we kind of developed a little bit, we kept going back. We kept asking ourselves, on this year, what can we improve on this year? And by improving again and again and again, I think we've been able to reach a point to, I mean, now we're out of just University of Texas at Austin, and we're around the state, right? So I feel like by starting strong, start what you're passionate about, but then always take a chance to look back and say, reflect on what's happening, right? Reflect on it and say, how can I improve this semester? And you pick something to focus on, and once you can pick that and focus on it, say building a brand, for example. We didn't have a website for, what was it, a
while, yeah, about a year.
Almost. But at one point we decided brand is really important for us as we started moving into bigger and bigger events. So that was the thing we chose to focus on. We focused on redeveloping a website, coming up with T-shirts that everyone could wear around campus and get people involved. So I think it's that process of really looking at what you've done after you had that kind of passion start, and kind of assessing the situation as a whole and saying, what do I want to improve on now? And pick those individual things and kind of move forward. I think that's the process that's really helpful for building up a larger organization with really strong parts on all kinds of pillars, not just a single group, for example.
I think more tangibly, it's important to realize where TESPA started. TESPA started because we wanted to get involved with CSL very initially. We wanted a team that could compete. So we got together a bunch of people who would be interested, and we just said, look, we have people, we're all interested in the same thing. What can we make happen? And we continuously pushed. We said, okay, cool, we have people, let's have meetings. And after we had meetings going, we said, well, let's develop an officer board. So we developed an officer board, and then after that, we're like, why don't we have a tournament? So we hosted a tournament. But TESPA didn't happen overnight. It's a very developmental focused process where, like Tyler was saying, each time we iterated and improved and looked back and said, how can we grow and what do our members want to see? And each time that's how we focused, and ultimately how TESPA is where it is today.
That's amazing. So for a couple of people out there who are just tuning in and have been living under a rock for a really long time, you guys started Lone Star Clash. You did 1 and 2, both were incredibly successful. What is your focus now? You've already accomplished the unattainable, and what are you going to do next?
Well, I think it's really important. For me, in my mind, there's two planks, right? You have the community aspect and you have the event aspect. And they work hand in hand. Why do we host events? It's fun, sure, it's cool, cool to host an event. But the purpose of the events are to bring our community together and to expand our community. What's the purpose of having a community, right? We want a community because we want people who like the same things we do to be able to get together and have a good time. So those things go hand in hand. In the future, we're going to focus on both of those, obviously. We want to continue building our community. Right now, like we mentioned, we're at a number of universities within Texas. We like to keep expanding that. We like to, maybe someday become an organization that's esports focused that's outside of the state also. We want to continue incorporating new schools and allowing people or helping people at different universities create really cool clubs and organizations like we have in Austin. And along with that, a really good way to, energize those communities and to get everybody focused towards one goal is also to continue hosting events. Events do so much, not only for giving members purpose, but also allowing them hands-on experience in the thing they love. And that's one of the coolest things about Lone Star is Lone Star was entirely student-driven, entirely student-run, everything from sponsorships to production to players. Everything was student-run. And as we continue to build our community, those community members are going to strive to be involved with esports. And Lone Star Clash is a really cool way that we can allow all of the members across the state to be involved in a really big esports production if they want.
Yeah, I mean, just to add on that just a little bit at the end, I mean, I don't feel like Texas is special beyond any other university, right? I mean, we have a group of really talented people, but those groups exist everywhere. So something that we really want to put focus on is really sharing those lessons that we learned, sharing the kind of the strategies that work best for us that actually allowed us to be able to create this this organization and these events that we have, and try to share that with other universities. Because if we're able to share the foundation, how do you make this happen, then who knows what the next Lone Star will be, right? Who knows what organization out there, what university will say, hell, I want to do this too, and then make something even bigger and better. So I think that's one of the most important things we can do at this kind of point, to move forward and kind of share what we know with everyone else, so it's successful.
So along with that, one of the things that we'll be doing in the next month is we will be creating documentation and exact plans for so that anybody out there who's interested in replicating what we've done can take a look at those things.
That's
and
amazing.
Have some really good a good place to start from.
That's amazing. And this is exactly what Campus Corner is supposed to be about, sharing those strategies. And we're hearing your build order now, which is great, and we want to go even deeper into it. I want to hear Arthur Zisk's build order and how he built George Washington University competitive gaming. Go for it.
Yeah, sure. So the first challenge in everything is getting the word out, and that's really the most grassroots part. I mean, a lot of people play games on every campus in the U.S., but very few gamers actually just go on Google and search for a gaming community at their school. So in order to expand an esports organization at a school, you really have to advertise it and market it. You have to make an effort for it. And it's actually harder than it sounds. Whether or not you and I are comfortable with telling everyone that you're a competitive gamer and that you love watching esports, the fact is that most student gamers are also closet gamers. And they at least try to avoid bringing it up in everyday conversation. Yes. So you have to make an effort to make your esports club sound both cool and fun. You have to play up the social aspect of it. That's what we do. I mean, if you can say you have 15, 30, or even 50 people getting together every week, it becomes more legitimate. And then consequently, word of mouth isn't really effective beyond clusters of friends. If you rely on word of mouth, your organization is going to experience a lot of dry spells in recruitment. And then like one day out of nowhere, all of a sudden one of your members is in class, they're in their 250-person econ lecture, and they see someone watching StarCraft stream during a supply and demand curve or something, and then after class they meet him and say, hey, like we got this club going, and then boom, the guy's like, you know what, I got like 4 or 5 friends that I room with, they all play Star too, so like for that week you get a bunch of people. I mean, it's a great feeling for that to happen, but it's not really sustainable or efficient to get everyone possible involved. So starting next semester, so we did a lot of that, and that's how we are now. We have a 215 members on our listserv, wow. And that's split up among the 3 major games, which are StarCraft 2, League of Legends, and Super Smash Bros. Melee. And then we also have people bringing another game. I'll bring my Xbox. Hey, Halo 4 came out. Who wants to come over and play some like multiplayer Halo this weekend? All right, so a couple people, bring that over. So, we're playing with it as it goes, whatever people want to do. So starting next semester, to get past that word-of-mouth level, we're going to start going full force into some new advertising strategies that have higher reach around campus. We're going to put some posters up. That's going to be the biggest effort. And then we're also going to try to get in the newspaper, appear on the school radio station, and then try to get featured in the weekly events e-newsletter that goes around everyone's emails.
Very cool.
Anything that really captures eyeballs without costing us any money is
Very
perfect.
Cool. Just as a side note to all those coordinators, if you get your school's team in the newspaper and mention Azubu, mention Blizzard, you can get Heart of the Storm beta keys for your entire team. Just to throw that out there. So Arthur, your team will probably win.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Anyway, the second challenge after you really have a sizable member base is really to keep things interesting, and that's been a challenge for us. If we meet someone at like an org fair, student org fair, where all the orgs come together and people get to see which ones they want to join, mostly for freshmen and stuff. But they come up and say, "Oh, I play Marvel vs. Capcom." Well, I can't tell them that we have a huge Marvel vs. Capcom community. I have to say, well, I mean, I'll take your name down. I'll put down Marvel vs. Capcom, and if we find a group of people playing Marvel vs. Capcom, I'll let you know, and we'll have a group started. So the thing is, I'll never see that person again until I can get back to them and tell them we have more interest. So really, the big thing is to get people to come back. I have 215 members, but that doesn't mean it means I get 215 members every weekend. You want to keep things interesting. It's been quite difficult. Where the first meeting of semester has a great turnout, but then it slowly dwindles as the semester goes on. People have responsibilities, and you never really get that same level of interest that you did at the beginning. So, I mean, it's college. You can't expect people to be available every weekend. You can't make it mandatory attendance. That would just fail. So really, the question is, how do we establish a member base that attends somewhat regularly? Everyone knows that games are more fun with more people, but therein lies the catch-22. If you don't incentivize the attendance, you run into a situation where everyone's skipping meetings because their friends are skipping the meetings, but that's only because their friends are skipping the meetings because their friends are skipping the meetings. So, I mean, to break the cycle, you really need to come up with some exciting events and stuff that ensure people show up. We try our best to make special little events that people want to come and see. For example, one week we said, "Hey guys, the founders of our club they haven't played StarCraft in about a whole year, a whole 52 weeks. I put on our group, I took a screenshot of their BattleNet thing, offline for 52 weeks. So I'm like, it's time for a reunion. Everyone come next week, and we're gonna have them come down to DC, and they're gonna come to GW, and we'll have them play, and we'll have some pizza and everything. So stuff like that, you have to incentivize people to come by, and for that we get a lot more draw. The other thing that we're battling with is last year we got a lot of draw because we played our StarCraft matches at the meetings. So a lot of people, even if they didn't play StarCraft, they could observe our games up on the screen, and we played them one at a time out in order, and had this huge viewability desire. But in order since we don't have that this season, we've had to do a lot to try to cancel out the suffered attendance. So. Yeah. We are realigning our focus this year towards playing, really. Right. We're trying to get scrimmages and practice games, organizing in-house tournaments, mini competitions and stuff. And then we're also looking to do more traveling. So we have the DC LAN, which isn't too far. It's in Northern Virginia. Mm-hmm. And Lucky Fool, I don't know if you know, usually heads those up. We've gone to a couple of those before, and they're a lot of fun. The Team Liquid has a community event in Northern Virginia doing Korean barbecue.
Yeah, it'll be $10 after 10 p.m.
Yeah, I think they raised the price. I think it's $13 now, and they make you tip.
Okay.
Forced tip, but after 10 p.m. we get really cheap, all you can eat Korean barbecue, and that's a lot of fun. Usually there are people from other colleges there too. George Mason is close by, so they have a lot of players there often.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So it's really interesting that you're taking StarCraft 2 out of BattleNet and just moving into other things as well, like Korean barbecue as a team, that sort of thing. You're tackling these issues really well. I want to see what the others have to say about how they tackle this issue, how they maintain casual interest, especially from, I think this is a story that all coordinators hear. It's a story of Mr. Platinum, who says, "I'm not good enough to play. I'm Platinum, so I kind of know how to play. I watch, GOM TV and go on Team Liquid strategy, but I'm not good enough to compete in CSL because everyone's Masters League, and I'll just get stomped and it's no fun." What do you say to that player? Terryn first.
Mono battles are awesome. Number one, mono battles are the coolest thing ever because, for starters, we do a couple things. So we have some equipment and stuff that we've gotten through funding and stuff on campus. So we have our own room where we can come on campus in the library and play StarCraft. You hook up your own gear, you come in, you play. We're still working on the monitors, so 4x3 makes things really fun. So you come in and we would okay, so we've even had enough people where we play in-house mono battles, or if we have 3 or 4 people, we'll hop on the ladder and just hang out, talk. We'll talk about Pro League while we're doing it. I'll suddenly scan and show everyone that I just launched like 50 mules on another person's base on stealing minerals from them. It's really fun. Other than that, like actually I've found the the use map settings mods are really good at keeping attention base for the lower skill, like lower level players, just because they're easier. They're not as no one has practiced them for 50,000 hours a day. So everyone's like on an even skill ceiling for a lot of that stuff. I mean, obviously, like your high masters player is going to be a lot faster at splitting in the Marine War thing, but I mean, it's really just finding what these people also like doing. Coaching sessions are also something we've been working on trying to get more and more. Like I said, we're really small, so our StarCraft club right now consists of maybe 10 active members, and then a bunch of people that kind of come in and out. They talk about like, oh, I watched MLG this last weekend. It was like, cool, you should come to Barcraft next weekend with us, or at the next one with us. Stuff like that. Viewings. We hosted the last GSL finals. We had a viewing party on campus in one of the dorms at 4 a.m. and we found our Red Bull representative and got free Red Bull for that. And we actually, and that was pretty fun. Keeping the more casual players busy are coming. That is the money question with this whole thing.
Let's direct that money question to the Rosens now.
Our we had this problem initially too, right? It's you have people. How do you keep them involved? How do you keep them active? How do you keep people coming back? And to do that, you need something that draws them in. So we take kind of a different approach. Our philosophy is our goal is to connect gamers with gamers, and we do this in a number of ways. We do things like bar crafts and pub stomps where everybody from our university and the community in Austin gets together, watches games, watches major tournaments happening, but then at the table right across from them, they have the opportunity to meet somebody, to talk to that person. And the idea here is that these people at these events make friends and then take those friendships further, and then they go back and they meet someone, around their skill level, so they go back and they play games the next week. We also do like tournament spectatings. When we host a tournament, people come out to spectate even if they aren't playing. It's an awesome opportunity for people to meet each other. Our goal is to create events that bring people together, that everybody, regardless of their skill level, would like to be interested in. And then that way they can later on go back and take those friendships elsewhere.
Traditionally, we did have the problem, like Adam said. You have a great attendance at the beginning of the semester. It slowly dwindles off as people have responsibilities. They have other things that take priority. So at the beginning of this semester, we made that a priority to fix. How can we keep people staying involved? And aside from those events that Adam mentioned, we implemented what we determined to be a family system, essentially. We looked at the problem, and we saw that because we had such a large community, people didn't feel like they were a part of that community, or at least an integral part of that community. So in order to solve that, what we did was we split up everybody who came to the first couple of meetings into small groups, groups of maybe 10 to 15, and each of them was led by an officer. And throughout the semester, what we've done is we've had those families host events in of themselves. They get to know each other. They have like their small, key core group of friends, which keeps people coming back, right? If you have someone who's counting on you to be there, you'll keep coming back to the meetings. You'll stay involved. So now those families, they compete against each other. Well, socials will have like a kayaking day. Whoever brings out the most people and performs the best, they win points, and we incentivize those points through raffles, beta keys, swag from sponsors, and stuff like that. And we found that was a really cool way to get people involved in a large community on a smaller level, because it's hard to feel like you're important if you're one of 200 people, right? But if you're one of 15 and you know those people really, really well, and you're against, or you're either playing alongside or against the rest of the membership there, it's very motivating. And we found it to be extremely successful. And we had our doubts at the beginning.
We had our doubts. But the coolest thing now is that these families, now these guys aren't just TESPA members, they're best friends. And that's the coolest thing, to be able to cultivate, 10 groups of best friends from a membership that otherwise would have been acquaintances. So that is another thing. That kind of goes along with our overall philosophy, right? Connecting people and allowing those people, once they're connected, to enjoy gaming in their own way.
That's very cool. It's like you're making control groups of people. It's much more effective that way. That's amazing.
The unlimited control group is OP. So
Okay, so
approach.
I had a related question, and that is, people get disappointed. They get less involved over time, either because they're platinum or because of priorities you mentioned. We have a saying here at CSL, which is winter is coming. For Game of Thrones fans, winter is coming. And every time that finals come around, every time that January comes around, everyone's on break, everyone just leaves. They're gone. They're no longer able to be contacted. How do you survive through that winter? Arthur, go for it.
Yeah, so, I mean, really going back to the casual thing, like, it's different. I mean, we take a different approach. It's like we're kind of like skill blind in a way. Like one of our three rules is that like we don't care about your rank, and we don't ask, and we don't want people to flaunt your rank. So really when people come, they don't really feel like they're distanced from the rest of the group. I started out as a gold member when I was a freshman in college, and I looked up to the other players, and they helped me out, and I skyrocketed in skill just being good friends with them, and like. See, the thing is, I don't want to defer like casual players to just being like viewers or just going on trips with us. Like, I want to get them involved in playing. That's one of our second rules, or one of our three rules. It's always want to play. So getting them involved. Someday they might not be a casual or low level player anymore. So we don't treat them any differently. As far as the winter is coming thing, I mean, we really have more fluctuations like due to testing more than anything else. Our players seem to be okay playing on vacation and stuff, but yeah, testing is a difficult thing to deal with. I mean, people have a midterm and they can't play for another week or two, and then some classes have 2 midterms which are spaced out evenly, so they lose out on a lot of practice time, and because of that, it's hard to have a consistent performance, and if you could get really unlucky. So I mean, you could have a lucky season where you have all your best players have all their tests when you have to face the hardest team in your division that you're going to lose to anyway. Or it could work the other way, where everyone's prepared and they can't, manage to beat that team, and then they have all these tests during the teams that they should be able to beat. So I mean, that's where like a longer season is better, because you have more of these samples, and then therefore the error is spread out among them. So I mean, that's what I'm in favor for. But.
Do you have any other takers on the final exam question? Terryn, do you run into that issue a lot?
Kind of. Part of the reason why we tend to not have it as bad. Well, November sucks in general. But part of the reason why, like, the months leading up to November, like, we don't have a sudden drop off until mid-November generally, because generally ChargerCon, which is our big, huge LAN event, that's the thing that I'm most involved in on campus. That happens Halloween weekend, almost like clockwork. So everyone gets really, really hyped for that through October, and we don't have it as bad until immediately afterwards. But that's also because after we come back from Thanksgiving, then we have finals, and everyone's wanting to kill themselves in some way. So the winter is coming thing, we don't have it as bad. We have summer is coming.
Oh,
that's the one. Our summer drop-off is horrendous. So that's the thing that we're trying to... That's the big fix, end of the year's thing that we're trying to fix this next semester. Because summer sucks.
So how are the seasons in Texas? Any better?
Yeah,
well, we only have one season here, and it's summer.
Yeah, so we don't have to worry about that.
Seriously.
Kidding aside, though, we kind of embrace it, I guess.
Yeah.
We recognize that everybody who's involved with TESP on the student level is first and foremost a student. So we try to pack our semester with events and get-togethers and socials really early on and towards the middle to mid-late part of the semester. But once it starts to be about finals time, we actually drop off with most of our activities because we realize that people aren't going to have the time to devote to that. And our officer team also a lot of times doesn't have time to devote to that, coincidentally. But I don't think it's a bad thing necessarily to have a season where this is your season, and then afterwards, people season in another way. This is our TESPA season, and then in December, if people want to get together and play games for fun or practice during finals, that's cool, but it's their own prerogative. And I think that that's been working really well for us. Way early on, we had the opposite approach. We tried to have a just full semester, all semester long, and we did see that drop off, and it was really bad. So I don't think that we lose anything though by having most of our events earlier on.
To survive the winter kind of slump, I feel like you always need to be looking forward, right? And not only you as like leadership of your organization, you have to keep your membership base looking forwards. If everyone knows you have a really cool event coming as like your first weekend when you're back in school in January, I think that's going to do a lot, and it has done traditionally for us. It does a lot for getting people back in the swing of things and fully involved immediately. So I would say try to plan in advance. Try to plan 1 or 2 really cool activities as soon as you get back in school after that slump kind of happens. Hype them up a lot, put everything you have into it, and that way people are really excited and they want to come back. It's not just, oh, well, we're beginning, I guess meetings happen soon. It's no, an amazing event's happening soon. I want to be there. And if you can keep that kind of mindset up, I think it does a lot to bringing people back.
Yeah, one more thing we found for maintaining kind of a steady membership throughout the semester is to celebrate. At the end of the semester, have a celebration, get everybody together, buy food, drinks, put on a couple games, bring in consoles and laptops, and just let people have a good time and symbolically kind of wrap up the semester. And I think that when you put bookends on your semester like that, I think it turns out really well, and it helps to signify, it helps your membership base also, because they aren't left hanging, oh, are we doing anything first weekend in December kind of thing. I think it really helps.
Very good answers, guys. I wanted to move into a slightly more controversial topic, just one last question before we move into Q&A. So, League of Legends, StarCraft 2, I think all of your organizations have more than one game, and at the same time, StarCraft 2 and League of Legends have been known to be little, cutthroat cats and dogs. How do you guys deal with that? Is it a good relationship that you have in your clubs, or is it, is it symbiotic? Is it conflicting? What is it?
I think you have
Nothing happened there. Continue.
I really think you have to embrace the multi-games, right? I mean, for esports to be sustainable in the future, it's not going to be one game. It's going to be a plethora of games. They're going to filter in and out. There's always going to be your top games. But at the end of the day, there's always the gamers. And those people are the ones that are consistent. So if you focus your organization around really facilitating the growth and the fun of the community and those gamers, I think you will really be successful and really looking past the titles that they're playing. Because a lot of the times, if you look at people, they play multiple games. I mean, I play StarCraft and League of Legends. That goes for a ton of our membership. And it just kind of transitions throughout the semester who plays more of what game. But if you're really able to embrace that and look at people as gamers and
not a StarCraft player, not a League player, but a gamer. Because a lot of our now League players, League is huge now. We have, I think, 70% of our membership base plays League. Those guys used to be StarCraft players. A lot of them have transitioned over. And if we would have told ourselves, you know what, we're a StarCraft club and we're only playing StarCraft, our organization would have died because our membership would have left because they weren't interested anymore. I think you have to embrace the whole body approach. You have to embrace all of these games and, gamers having the freedom to play what they want, and not only just allowing that, but, encouraging people to play multiple games and to play a new game with a new member who they may not know. I think that's the way you thrive.
And at the same time, by embracing that, you also introduce people to new titles, right? I mean, we've introduced people who heard about esports because of League of Legends to StarCraft and vice versa. So kind of embracing that on an event level. You can have events that focus on, for this hour, we're going to play this game. For this hour, we're going to play this game. Make it kind of like a marathon thing where everyone tries different things. And not only will people be introduced to those titles, I think it makes the community a lot more cohesive as well.
Very cool. Arthur, do you have, I know you had like a mantra or something. Would you like to describe your club's policy?
So, yeah, I mean, I tell you all that our club supports all the games, but I have to tell you that our dynamic for SC2 versus LoL is much different a year ago than it is now today. It had a very rough start. So 1 year ago, LoL became pretty popular among all the gamers at GW. And we have this policy where we're supposed to be welcoming and supportive to all new game titles, but unfortunately, it didn't quite work out that way. There started to be a lot of drama when a few of our top 8 Masters players on the CSL team wanted to quit StarCraft and just play LoL. And myself included, and a lot of the other SC players who didn't go over to LoL, started criticizing them for leaving the game that they're so good at and abandoning the team and going to this game that allegedly had less skill, newbie, it's easier, and all that. So clearly we're all frustrated as Season 5 was approaching, and our roster just took like a huge hit. But looking back, like the way that we handled this, the way that I handled this was not fair or mature. So I mean, it made like some pretty big problems. So I mean, since then, SC and LoL relations have been improving a lot in our club. And aside from people getting tired of all the teasing going back and forth, like I think the fact is that the fact that GW now has a LoL team in both CSL LoL and Ivy LoL, it kind of changes the group in the eyes of both. Like the LoL players now see why the SC players have so much fun being competitive and everything because they have the taste of that, and the SC players kind of have greater respect for them now. That they kind of went from a mental image of being kids screaming in the back of the computer lab playing the team game into now actual competitive gamers that try hard every week and try to win their matches. So I mean, they're now 3-1 in their CSL LoL, and they may be getting a forfeit one for their last match tomorrow. So I mean, we're really proud of them, and they're all great friends. And out of that, we're going to become much closer. But I mean, the biggest changes are actually still to come. I just came home from studying abroad this semester. I was in Paris, and now that I'm back, I'm going to make it one of my priorities for the club to host more LoL events. I mean, we kind of neglected that. Like last year, I kind of couldn't come to this realization that LoL was becoming bigger than SC, and I really I neglected the LoL community, and I said, sure, we have 20 people playing LoL here, 10 people playing SC here, but somehow I didn't realize that it wasn't fair to put SC on the projector every single week and not have any support for LoL. So I'm gonna make viewing parties, in-house scrimmages, a couple tournaments maybe. And I'm not a player myself. I don't play LoL, but I have to commit to the promise that I made that our club would support whatever game titles are most demanded by its members. So.
Very cool. Terryn, I wanted to ask you from an organizational point of view about this question, the League versus StarCraft 2 thing, because you have an umbrella for all games, and a lot of you do actually. You have one organization that has multiple platforms. What do you think about that? So my question comes from my experiences with Princeton, where we have a StarCraft 2 team and an organization dedicated to that, but none of us like LoL enough to also organize stuff for LoL. In the past, we tried to make it into one organization, but it doesn't work out that way. So we're maybe we should. What is the umbrella the best thing? What do you think?
Hold on. The sinus infection is still in full force. League is. I mean, it's. Most of us all recognize, at my school at least, it's a lot more of a casual game than StarCraft 2. I mean, some of the League players will come to the StarCraft 2 practice sessions just to kind of learn the game, because it's. I mean, for them, it's fascinating because it's. I mean, the 1v1 aspect is completely different, but from the umbrella organization, it doesn't really matter too much for us. I mean, they're all. Like Tyler or the Rosens were saying, is everyone's gamers, right? So a League player, a League team, StarCraft player, StarCraft team, we're all playing games competitively. That's there's not really much of a difference. I mean, as far as any funding, generally, if the League organization is still in the works of trying to get things more and more organized. Right now, it's just a big collection of people that play League of Legends and talk about it on the Facebook page, and then come to game nights and play League of Legends no matter what game is actually being featured, which is cool. No, I mean, they still get up and move around and play some of the other games, but most of them are predominantly here, plop their laptop down, play League of Legends because they enjoy that game, and it's awesome, I think. So, I mean, really, there's no real difference for us between our StarCraft 2 club and our League of Legends club. In fact, I mean, while the League of Legends club, like I said, is a lot more people because League of Legends, our StarCraft 2 club actually tends to organize a lot more stuff. We've organized most all of the Barcrafts, we're working on organizing future barcrafts that are both League of Legends and StarCraft 2, because we found a couple of local areas that are that they can support that. They can have an entire section for people watching League of Legends, and then all of us watch StarCraft can be over on another side of the bar, and it's really cool. So, but yeah, that's my thoughts.
Very cool. All right, so we're actually going to move on into the Q&A session from the chat. We have a couple of questions in queue right now. We're also going to invite people into this hangout if they so choose. So it may be a little risky, but if it turns out that they're trolling, we can, there's an ignore function.
Okay, we know
so
what to do.
Okay. I'm sure that our community is great and that everyone is just here to learn about collegiate esports. All right, so there is one question in chat right now. How do you reconcile the solitary nature of some games with the social aspects of club? In other words, how do you bring people together when the nature of a game is essentially a singular experience? And that's from Baka42. Any takers?
I think it comes down to the community. All things said, that's what we're doing this for, right? It's for the community. So you really have to take that person, encourage them to take that leap of faith, or even bring events to them, if that makes sense. And I guess I can talk about that in a second. But encourage them to take that first leap of faith, get involved, go to a single meeting. That's all it takes. And then really tie them into the community, make them feel loved, make them feel welcome, and really show them what possibilities you can provide throughout the semester, throughout the year, be it events, meeting other people inside the community. Make sure this isn't known as just a group of gamers, but a group of friends who love gaming and who are able to do things that are gaming related and not gaming related. And when you're able to kind of put that perspective on it, and really, I think it ties people together. And after that first leap of faith, I think they're set. If you can sell them on it, then you're okay. As far as like bringing events to people, people are everywhere, right? People, they go to classes, they live in dorms. What you can do is, I think public events are a really good way to at least spark that curiosity in people. Set up in a busy part of your campus, set up TVs, bring consoles out, bring computers, play games. Bring a big projector out to watch GSL finals or World Finals or something like that. People who are curious will walk by. And when you see them kind of say, hey, I know that game, but I don't want to say anything, grab them, talk to them, make them feel welcome inside. You're like, you're sitting next to me. Come bring them in. And if you're able to do that and you're able to capture that kind of organic attention, I think that's a really good way you can approach that problem and really keep bringing people out and keep making them feel involved.
Yeah, I think it's really important to show people that they can get more out of their gaming experience if they game with friends or they game with a community that loves gaming. You just have to, it's hard at first. You have to show them that this community exists and then convince them somehow to try it. But once you do that, I think, that we've seen anyways, people just fall in love with it.
Very cool. There was another question about, I think it was about funding, and I don't know the exact wording of this question or who it was from, but it was an interesting one because I think it really touches on how University of Alabama Huntsville uses it. They asked, how does the financial structure work? How much does your team get if that's not a NDA number? How much does your SGA give you? How much do you have to raise? Membership fees? What do you do to make your team work?
So is this one's directed at me then?
It is initially.
Okay. So it starts off first by how our SGA works. Our SGA is set up on the idea of so there was like a one-time equipment funding that they give most clubs, right? So we took advantage of that, got some equipment for computers and all that stuff, built those. Then there is trips. SGA will match. I believe they match you dollar for dollar. Like if your trip costs, or if you put forth $60 for a trip, they will give you $60. So
Jealous. I'm jealous.
We're a really small school, so we have a lot of advantages for that. So it's pretty nice. When you're a small enough school like ours, you have a lot more weight as far as like, hey, we want to go to this event. We're bringing like a bunch of people. We'll be talking to a bunch of people from our university, stuff like that. So our SGA is very lenient on that. Event funding, they aren't. really big on event funding. Normally they give you like if you need like $5,000, they'll be like, well, here's 500. See what you can do with that. They're a lot less lenient on that. That stuff you have to go to more specific divisions around campus, like for our ChargerCon, because of how we have like we're like 8,000 student body, and we had 1,100 people at our last event for ChargerCon. Yeah.
Could you just describe what ChargerCon is briefly?
So ChargerCon literally started out as a LAN party. Oh, there went the Rosens.
Whoops.
So ChargerCon literally started out as a LAN party. Okay. This started out in 2007. Yeah. So the year before I started. And the guy that started it, he graduated and he became faculty and just kept running it because he was still on campus and he loved it. I started getting involved with it in beginning of 2011, and so it has evolved from just a bunch of people getting together playing like they get N64s, Wii's, Xboxes, PlayStations, do all that stuff. It has evolved from that into us. We're trying to graduate into not only still have all that free-to-play stuff, still have all this convention-esque stuff, but bring in more of the competitive side to it. Also bring in more panelists to come in and talk about what they do with stuff. It's a really, really cool event. It's we've been growing like clockwork, too, every year.
And was it, so it was 1,100 people at that event? And
spread across 2 days. Across 2 days.
Across 2 days.
Yeah.
And you did this with $500 for funding? Is that?
No.
Okay. Just wondering.
No. Okay. So part of the other thing also is so our deal with our school is we can't charge admission, and then we get basically free reign for almost free like facilities. Like internet was free, the actual facilities were free. For us to use. We had to pay for power because that is man hours, because that's like off the clock for them, which is fine. That's completely acceptable. But we have a lot of our costs that are completely mitigated because we don't, because our school pays for it. I mean, we've all heard the quotes from NASL about how expensive their internet is, and I am very happy to not have to pay for that.
Right.
So, I mean, to be honest, our entire budget for the last ChargerCon, I would put it under, like, low 4 digits, like, under $2,000, I would say.
That is a very cost-efficient event.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, we have a lot of university bureaucracy that we have to deal with. Like, we can't sell snacks. We can't sell anything where we host it because of how the contracts with the food company deal with. They would throw a major fit if we did that. Wouldn't be good.
Let's move to the Rosens, who have a similar question. Someone in chat was asking how you go about finding and hooking up sponsors for your events. So if SGA doesn't give you the amount of money that you need, that you want to sell like snacks or something.
So,
go ahead. Go for it.
Yeah, so sponsors is a tricky thing. For us, we break it down into 2 different types of sponsorships. We have organizational sponsors, and then we have event sponsors. Organizational sponsors are, like small-scale sponsors who give you some money because they want to come speak at one of your meetings maybe and reach out to your members, or they want their product in your members' hands. We've worked with a number of local groups for that. But as far as the larger sponsorships go, it's really, really, really one of the most difficult things I've done. That's not to discourage anyone from doing it. Because it's vital to having a successful organization at this stage, right? But you have to be very careful about how you do it. How we did it was
Oh, I think they dropped out.
We lost them.
Oh, we lost them. All right. Well, we'll find out soon how Lone Star does it. GWU, how does your funding situation work? Are you able to find company organization, or do you go through the SGA?
Yeah, so we have a student association that gives out a lump sum of money at the beginning of a year, and it's based off of what you ask for, and it's very, very ambiguous what that means, and it's actually a very flawed system. They do not trust when a club reports how many members it has, because they can say, oh, you just go around and collect email addresses from people and you tell us you have 400 members. That doesn't mean we're giving you a lot of money. So it's really biased. They have this finance committee that decides how much money you get for a year, just based on what you've done in years past and what your cause is. So basically, a community service thing is going to get more. It's like if you're Habitat for Humanity, you're a lot more legitimate than a video game playing club. So basically, our first year, which means we had no history, they were willing to give us $200. This year, I think we got $300. So it's not very much. Last year, we used it just to help subsidize a trip to the MLG Providence, the national championships, and we saw you there. That just helped reduce our megabus costs and hotels and everything. That's basically all we wanted to do with it. This year, we started to do a little bit more. We have 300, just a little bit more. We've so far bought some food for viewing parties, and we're going to be holding on to the rest until we find out where the new MLG Pro Circuits will start being next year. We want to know if there's one DC, Philly, or New York or something that we can go to. So basically, to get more money, for most trips, it's really out of pocket for who wants to go. So if we're going to a LAN center or a Korean barbecue, people just have to pay out of pocket. But as I'm now back for the new semester, I'm going to be running a lot of fundraising. Hopefully, we're going to be looking at different sponsors, but we're not sure yet. And then, of course, there's silly things like bake sales and all that. So.
Looking forward to seeing those bake sales. Maybe I will
we'll see if anyone's willing to do that.
No, they're a very legitimate way of funding esports organizations. I was really big for esports.
Oh yeah, and jerseys. We want to buy new jerseys.
All right, Rosen, you got cut off.
Sorry, we got blue screen again.
Oh no!
I'll try to be as succinct as possible in case this happens again. In my mind, there are two main elements of getting sponsorships. There's one, finding the sponsor, and two, convincing them that they should give you money or product or whatever it is you're trying to get. As far as finding the sponsor, it's all about networking. One thing that Tyler and I started doing early on was we went to every single esports event we could possibly afford to go to. We met everyone we could. We met people who would introduce us, and those people would introduce us to other people. We got on Skype. We actively sought out ways to, get connected with people. Not necessarily with the idea of finding a sponsor in the end, but of getting to know people in the community. And as it happens, and as everybody else will find it happens, as you continue to network and as you continue to expand your network, you gradually start to meet sponsors, and people who can introduce you to people. And I think that's a real key. It's so important to network into sponsorships. Because it's incredibly hard otherwise. However, with zero connections, you can still do it. Tyler and I, we created a very elaborate proposal for Lone Star Clash, for example, and we had a few sponsors who we knew, and just ton everybody else we didn't know, right? So we got on the plane and we flew out to California and we set up meetings with people and we went to businesses and we pretty much just went in there cold, found a person we could talk to, and sat down and pitch the idea of TESPA, of Lone Star Clash, to them. And while it's harder to do. It's a lot harder to do. We found pretty good success with that. Tyler, you want to add something?
I want to bring this down to a more basic level, I think. For all the organizations out there, I feel like there's a couple main things you need to, understand in order to get sponsorship money. And one of the most important thing is no company wants to give to you altruistically. No one's going to give you money out of charity. You have to be able to present a very core value back to that company and make whatever they're giving you, be it money, be it products, worth it to them, right? It's a marketing expense. So the first thing I would do if you're looking for money is look back and say, what can I offer a sponsor? If you were in a sponsor's position, what would you want from this group of students that you've kind of brought together? And once you understand what your value is, you can go back and you can create that. You can create a document that really outlines that. Show who you are, show what you can provide, and really say what your vision is. Say why you want this funding, why you want this product. And if you're able to create a nice sponsorship proposal, make it look professional, and then go out and approach different contacts, approach companies.
Even go out locally and find the company down the street. And things that these companies are looking for. A lot of the times, sponsorships are marketing expenses. So what should you include? You should tell them your reach. You can show them how many members you have. Maybe hint at your growth. Tell them that you're in a high-tech industry. Tell them that your fans or your members are very engaged and they like to give back to companies that support their pastime. There's a lot of very important things that you can include. And one thing that numbers are very important. I would absolutely encourage anyone looking to go out and get a sponsor is to just find one. Find someone in marketing and sit down with them and say, hey, what do I need to tell you in order to sell you? And just ask them straight up. They may not give you a sponsorship, but everyone else you go to, you'll know the kind of things that they're looking for, and that's how you make the sale. Did you have something, Mom?
I want to jump in and just ask, how can you do this networking if you can't just jump on a plane, go to California?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So what you can do is online communities are a wonderful. Online communities are a wonderful way that you can do that. You can there are a number of pro teams out there, for example. You could offer to volunteer with one of those. You can make contacts that way. You can get on Team Liquid and talk to people, and you'll meet people and ask them, hey, who do you know? There are a number of groups on Skype also, just people who are involved in esports. There's a lot of things you can do online also, but I would say never be afraid to ask for introductions also. Yeah, I mean, if you think of everyone you know, surely there's one person who knows someone that's involved in a tech in the tech business, or any sort of business that's trying to reach out to college students. We are the most sought after demographic in the world, pretty much. High tech college students. It's really people want to reach out to us. You know someone, find that person, ask them, say, who do you know? Would you mind introducing me? Would you mind, introducing me, even if it's through an email, and saying, hey, I asked for this introduction. There's a lot of things you can do. And another thing is there's everybody in your organization. If you have an organization of even 25 people, your network is just expanded 25 times. Chances are there's one person, at least one person, who you'll be able to start. And then, if that goes well, ask them, say, who do you know? Who can you connect me to?
I think the CSL is another really good resource among the other organizers, right? There's tons of other organizers out there, and they all have individual sponsors. Maybe an organization that's one sponsor, two sponsors, but collectively, there's a big pool of resources there. So don't be afraid to reach out to those people and say, let's trade contacts. I'll help you, you help me, and kind of build it from there. And once you're really able to build up that network, I think the start is the most important thing. Once you can prove that you can do it, you just go from there.
Yeah, so right after this conversation, you, Arthur, and Terryn are going to trade contacts, right?
Yes, of course. Well, I have their Skypes already, so.
It'd be great. We're hearing some great advice from you all. I want to get a bottom line from each of you. What is your advice to aspiring collegiate organizers, to aspiring collegiate esports organizers? Can we start with Terryn? Let's just go in order.
So, Day 9 has a very famous quote. I will censor it slightly, but just go do it.
Oh.
Yeah, I stole that from Day 9. But, no, seriously, none of this would have happened if a couple people that I met hadn't already started the ball rolling, right? I wasn't even the one that started all the stuff that we have on campus. Someone decided that, hey, I want to throw a LAN party, and he threw a LAN party, and then summer rolled through. Spring or fall semester was coming through. He's like, "Hey, I want to host another one of these," and then he just kept doing them. And so that's how ChargerCon exists now, and it is the largest gaming convention in the state of Alabama right now. I think that's accurate. Our student-ran esports organization. None of that would have happened if someone decided that, hey, this is really cool what we're doing. We need a direction. And this person started to lay down some ground rules for that. And I saw this, and I'm like, hey, this is a good idea. And we worked together and formed this stuff. But none of this happens if you don't put your foot out and start walking.
Very nice. Let's go to the Rosens again. You already imparted a bunch of knowledge, but bottom line.
Sure. Bottom line is same thing. Just do it. It's not going to happen on its own. If you aren't the one who's actively going out there trying to make things happen, then chances are it's not going to happen. Sure, it may be daunting at first, but if you just try, if you start somewhere, you've gotten somewhere. And then you can build upon that. You can grow. You can learn. But unless you take that first action and say, you know what, I'm going to give this a shot, whether it fails, and I learn a lot, or whether I can actually start to, create a really awesome thing, it's not going to happen unless you take the initiative and you say, we're going to give it a shot. So that's the bottom line. Just try it.
For me, I'm going to alter that just a little bit and say my bottom line will be, I think everyone at least watching through the organizations we have has a really good foundation set up. Don't be afraid to push further. I mean, I think that we have all kind of done something, but never stop pushing further. Never stop asking yourself, what else can we do? How can I make this even better? Even if it's just a little bit better, it adds up and it adds up, and before you know it, you have something amazing you built up. And just to throw in kind of as a side note, I want to give out a shout out to Day 9 TV because they're coming out with a lot of blogs which are very explicit in helping people like us how to get involved in esports, how to actually write a sponsorship proposal, how to set up networking for an event, and I feel like that's a really good resource. So I mentioned him earlier, so I just wanted to throw that in because I feel like that's really good documentation that we can all kind of benefit from.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I read the one that you guys did. That was actually very helpful already. So that was awesome.
Glad to hear that.
There's more coming.
Yeah,
for
there
sure.
will be a lot more coming. So definitely
I'm
keep
sure.
an eye on those.
I'm sure.
Very cool. All right, Arthur, what's your bottom line? It can't be just do it.
Yeah.
People have already said
Okay.
it.
So I mean, I will enforce the fact of being proactive. You can't wait weeks and weeks between every action. Before you know it, it'll be the end of your senior year, and your opportunities will be over. So I'll go on to say you should write things down and plan for the future. When you have an idea, put it down and stick with it. When you are thinking about things, just plan them out because you can always refer to them later. The other thing is you should be honest with yourself and realize the strengths and weaknesses of your style of leadership. And in order to cover for that, you should enlist the help of others, friends or other people in the club, to help you out in the areas you need it most. I can't be the web designer, I can't be the graphic artist, I can't be everybody, so I need to put the best people in those positions and communicate with them well. So that's the other thing. When you have a team of officers, you really have to communicate with them often and have meetings with them, and again, write down everything you go over. Even if it's just a few times a semester for like an overall meeting saying, hey, we're going into the next semester, this is our plan for advertising, this is our plan for events, this is our plan for fundraising, etc. So, that's what I got.
Amazing. All of you guys are doing amazing things, being proactive, and giving us great advice right now. I hope that all of the CSL coordinators, and not just CSL people, but also just local esports people who are trying to run their barcasts, run pub stomps, learn from this example and go out there and get things done, because you guys are really building that infrastructure to create what we need to make esports mainstream, to make esports, something that we can all just enjoy on TV. This is something that CSL is just designed to do. As Ubu Collegiate Champions, we're hoping to give people a reason to go and do that, to compete, but then to not just compete and take it a step further and keep improving and say, like, yeah, we play in CSL and we also do this. And so I'm really glad that you guys have gone above and beyond the duty on all of that. I want to hear shout outs from each of you to friends, family, whoever you want to shout out to, and then we're going to wrap this up. So back in order, Terryn.
Oh, I don't even compile my list yet. Shout out to UAH and CharterCon, because what we're doing right now is really cool. Shout out to my wonderful girlfriend that's a big backer in a lot of things. My crazy ideas.
Too, right?
Yeah, she is behind me.
I was wondering what that was.
It's not. She's doing homework right now, but no, she's like that amazing emotional support behind a lot of my really crazy ideas, and also the bubble to kind of be like, no, hold on. And then shout out to all the guys that actually do a lot of the work with CharterCon. There's a huge these events. People don't realize how many people actually go into it, and any of you who have ever actually volunteered for to help out at these events, you guys are actually the greatest. So shout out to you guys.
Cool. For us, it's all about the officer team. I think the officer team, the volunteers, the community itself. Without those people, none of this would be possible. Seriously, it takes so many people to put an event or an organization together and make it run successfully and then grow after that. So I feel like all of those people in our core leadership team, on our officer team in general, even the people who just show up to meetings, all of those people are extremely beneficial. And without those people, seriously, what we've done would not be possible.
Go for it. Finish your gratitude. Thanks. Our sincerest thanks go out to all of those people.
I wasn't going to say that.
Completely serious, though. We had over 75 people on our team for Lone Star Clash, and all of those people deserve amazing thanks also. And for anyone watching who did, specifically enjoy that event, Be sure to check out our sponsors and thank them also. TESPA.org/LSC2/sponsors. But I cannot emphasize the importance of our leadership team and anyone who just decided to step up and wanted to get things done, because that's how things get done. So thanks to all those people.
Okay, so I guess I got my shout-outs. First, I want to thank Jake and Henry, who are the two co-coordinators who ran GW Competitive Gaming while I was studying abroad this past semester. They kept everything alive and hosted events and made sure it was fun for everyone. They also increased our membership from last year's 150 to today's 215. So that was a great job by them. I also want to thank all the players in our SC2 and LOL teams competing for taking the time to practice and play every week. And then finally, I want to thank the CSL admins for giving us a chance to speak today and for running a league that brings us together not only as gamers at a single school, but across the entire world.
Arthur, I can sense the best of 7 behind all your comments.
Best of 7. Now my best of 7 is coming back to bite me. We had a roster crisis, and best of 7 is going to be hard, but we'll make it. We'll make it.
All right. Thank you all for joining me today. This has been a great episode. I think it's a great resource that everyone will, look back on and take a look through the MP3, through the VOD, because there is so much to learn through here. All of your best practices, strategies for creating what you have is just amazing. So I hope that everyone gets a chance to watch it. Thanks to Azubu for sponsoring Azubu Collegiate Champions. You guys are amazing. They create video content, and they're also a social media company for games. They own Azubu Frost, Azubu Blaze, and Azubu Violet for StarCraft. And just follow CSL, the Azubu Collegiate Champions. We're entering playoff seasons. Everyone's in it right now. UT Austin, George Washington, you're in playoffs. Alabama Huntsville, how are you guys doing?
We're playing against a Waterloo. Do you know how much that sucks?
Sorry to hear that. But watch all of these guys compete. Not only organize awesome esports events, but compete in StarCraft too. It'll be amazing. Tune in for Monday and Tuesday broadcasts. And that is a wrap. So thanks for tuning in. We're going to go to a short break and then have a good night.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mona. Also, I do want to say that Tyler and I would like to make ourselves available, so if anyone has questions and wants to reach out directly, please feel free to do that.
Yeah, that's amazing. We're thinking about how we can make an actual group, like an organization. Someone suggested a collegiate esports leadership Facebook group, which I think is actually a pretty good idea.
I think that's a good idea.
There's one for League of Legends right now, and it's extremely successful because everyone just puts in ideas and such, so... I definitely recommend that. I think that'd be
awesome. I have so many. If I could have like 2 whole 24-hour days to pick your guys' brains about how you guys have been running live events, that would be incredible.
It's a great resource. I think we're still on air, so we're just going to cut the broadcast. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and then we can continue this discussion behind closed doors. But people do want to know your contact information. We'll provide that in chat soon, or probably not in chat. You can contact us at admin@cstarleague.com, and we can give out, the Rosens and Fredrickson. I don't know why I just called you by your last name. Arthur and Terryn's contact information as well. All right. Thanks, everyone.